Hey everyone, it's DJ Alex Brown here, taking a look today at the Betopper. I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to say it. I'm gonna say Betopper because that's what makes sense to me. 7x 40 watt, 4-in-1 moving headlight. So that's what we have right here. Now, this is a very interesting light to give a quick overview. It is a wash light that can do zoom. So this lens zooms in and out, and it can also do a sort of moonflower effect where this lens actually rotates and it makes beams of light, multiple beams of light, like a moonflower does, but out of almost a hybrid type of moving head here. So I'm very interested to take a look at this light. I've never taken a look at one of these specific types of lights before that has the rotating head. So I'm very excited to take a look at this. So stick with me in this video. We have a lot to talk about on this item, and just a quick thank you to Betopper for sending this light to me for a review. So we're going to take a quick look at this page here and go over the features. So like I mentioned, this is a 7x 40 watt LED. Each LED in here is 40 watts, obviously, and there are 7 of them. So in total, this is a 280 watt light of maximum output. I'm sure that each 40 watt LED is dedicating a certain amount to individual colors as compared to, say, a spot moving head, which is, if it's 280 watts, it's always 280 watts of white, and then it's putting color wheels. This is just individual quad LEDs. So this is a RGBW light. There are some cool features that we'll talk about as we go through the video. Looking at this manual, and it looks like it has tunable white, which is really interesting. I really want to take a look at that. So this can be, the beam angle range on this, or zoom range, is 4.5 degrees to 45 degrees, which is very impressive. I can't wait to actually turn this on and show you guys what that looks like, because that's pretty impressive range. The color temperature of the white goes from 2800 Kelvin to 8500 Kelvin. I don't think I've ever seen 8500 Kelvin before, so I'm very interested to see that. Again, there's a lot of new things on this light for me. Total rated power consumption, 350 watts, so you have about 70 watts of servos and other functional pieces. 270 degree tilt, 540 degree pan. I did take a look at a Sheds light in the past that I wasn't really sure if their numbers were true, so we will be taking a look at that today for sure. I would expect that on a wash light that it's going to be pretty accurate, but I can actually feel, because this is plugged into DMX, this is at the bottom, and let's see, 270 would be, 180 would be like this, so 270 would be, yeah, I would say that's pretty much 270. Now again, on the effects that this does, full RGBW control plus that tunable white, it seems, we'll verify that in a moment, can be wash, can be a beam, can be somewhere in between. Haha, made a little joke there. And then we can also do that kaleidoscope effect, or as I like to refer to it, the moonflower effect. So let's dive right into this. I really want to see what this light can do. Right now, I want to show you a picture of how this came in the box and what came with it. It did come, of course, with a PowerCon power cable, which is your blue. Just unplug it here for you. You can see that right there. A mounting bracket. This is a pretty impressive piece of steel for an obviously Chinese manufactured light. I'm pretty impressed with this bracket. And I noticed that it actually has plated, whatever these thumb wing screw nut things are, that they're plated this gold color, which I believe is the same as the ADJ one. So I'm impressed by the quality of this bracket here, because obviously this is very important. Now it does only have one bracket for hanging on a moving head. This is kind of like a mid-size moving head, so I'd say it's okay to have a single bracket. My ADJ lights that are fairly similar to this, but an older model light that doesn't do any of the kaleidoscope or anything like that, only have a single bracket. So again, I would prefer to, but I'm sure one is fine. It did come with a 3-pin DMX cable. Now another thing that actually impresses me about this, I've been very impressed by this light. I've dabbled in Chinese manufactured lights before. The DMX cable has black ends on it. I don't know if you can see this here. Because I have employees, I like to keep things really simple. So all of my DMX cables have black ends on them. I don't use any DMX cables with silver ends on them because I can say if it has a black end, it's a DMX. If it has a silver end, it's an XLR, and that's the purpose. Now you can interchange them. I just keep them all separate unless we're in a pinch, you know? So I really like that it has black ends on this cable because it helps me keep everything in that ecosystem of all the DMX have black ends, all the XLRs have silver. So that's pretty cool. I've had other lights come in with DMX cables that have silver ends, blue ends, I mean, you name it. So I'm pretty impressed with this. That means I'll probably actually use this DMX cable. And it's a pretty good quality cable too. I've seen some really, really cheap ones. Same thing goes for the power cable. It's a thicker gauge cable than I normally get with like a Chinese light. So as far as quality from what I can see so far, pretty impressed. Now, I did just want to point out that it's actually a branded box. It's not just like straight wholesale, which I thought was interesting because I'm used to seeing straight wholesale on the light. You have your logo on the side here. I'm just going to shut this off so it'll let me move it. It does actually have a logo though. It's not just like a generic, you know, LED moving head on the side. So I'm surprised to see some branding on here, which I like. It is a plastic casing construction. Feels like a nice plastic, but it is plastic. I mean, you get what you pay for with a light like this, obviously. Obviously, you have your display here. We'll dive into this in a moment. On the back, typical fuse on-off switch, which I like to see on lights. Some people might have different opinions about that. Power con in and out, and 3-pin DMX in and out, so that's all great. The DMX is correct in on the right side. And just very quickly, I want to point out right here, I'm not sure if you can see it, there is actually a safety chain link right here, or at least I'd assume that's what it is, placed like that. Now it's not an eye loop, and it's just kind of screwed into the metal on the bottom. There is a metal plate down here to support everything, and I haven't seen another Chinese light with that, so I'm pretty impressed to see a safety cable loop there. Now you could always loop it through this piece that connects to the bracket, but I prefer just a nice thing you can just clip a carabiner right onto, obviously a properly rated one. So I'm pretty impressed overall so far. Good construction. It's not a light, it's not massively heavy either, but you know, you can feel that there's some weight to this. And these servos, just from what I'm hearing here, they sound very smooth. You really couldn't hear that at all in the background, I'm sure, but very smooth. Not like any like clicking. I have had some Chinese lights that have like some clicking in the servos. These aren't like that at all. So far quality-wise, there's no fan running right now, at least not that I can hear. That is something I've seen on Chinese lights before, so we're gonna try and take a dive into that as well to make sure that, you know, everything with the fan is, for lack of a better term, as you would expect. Let's take a quick dive into the display here. So far, it looks like a pretty standard Chinese display. What's interesting is the display background is black, but the phone camera is making it look blue, which I think is very interesting. Oh, I guess from a different angle it looks blue. That's kind of funny. It must just be the backlight on the display, but let's check manual operation. Oops. So I always like to check the manual operation on these lights just to see. I think it's, you know, the menus on these Chinese lights are always so much better, the American ones in my opinion. And then it just flips right back around at the end. Okay, let's get that down. So one thing I am noticing here, the display actually goes off the edge a little bit. So you can probably see this border does kind of overlap a little bit. Now, fairly easy to fix for me. I just, you know, put my head a little bit this way so that I can see what I'm doing. And what it probably, all that probably is, there's probably just a sticker on here or something that's making it like that. So, you know, it's just slightly off. Probably just a mild quality control thing. You know, really doesn't matter to me. Now, here's a quick warning I'm noticing. I don't know if I've ever seen this posted directly on a light, so I don't know if I should be scared, you know, light anything on fire, but 0.2 meters is about, what's that, like a foot or something? So I guess everything should be fine. I don't know, someone can correct me in the video if I'm wrong about that. But anyway, yeah, so I can feel that it feels like the button might be a little bit shifted here. But anyway, so menu looks good. Information, factory, I really don't care about any of this stuff, and I don't think anybody else does. So we'll just go back to this. It appears that there is only one channel mode on this light, so we'll just be working in 8-channel mode. Looks like there is no control over, I do know that on my ADJ Visi Hex Wash 7s, you can control the outer ring and the inner ring separately. But, you know, we're talking about two very different lights here. So at this point, we're gonna dive into the DMX on this light. I'm just gonna go into a live edit here. So, pan, pretty simple. There is a fine pan. That is a very fine pan. I am impressed. Okay. Well, I don't really need the fine pan, but good for being a beam light. That will come in handy certainly. Just gonna pan it, well, we'll tilt it. Let's see. I would say that's a full 270. It's a little slow, maybe just a tad slow on the movement. Could be the DMX controller though too. Yeah, so we'll just tilt this. I'm just gonna tilt this up at a slight angle so hopefully you can see the head of this. Now, let's put the dimmer all the way up and go all the way open on the shutter. What's interesting is the shutter seems to be, all these channels seem to be the same as my Shed's 230 watt moving heads, so far at least. So I'm not sure if there's a special effect that's set on right now, but I have the shutter all the way open and it should just be there. So it seems like there's a color macro running in the background or something, which is fine. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna go down to 13, which is macros. I'm gonna zero out all these channels. So let's turn this up on red. Actually, I'm gonna go to channel 12 and dive into the color temperature. So this should be your 2800. This should be 8500, so very cool white. Now, this is probably a little hard to see. Wow, that's bright. Don't do that. I guess the best way for you guys to see it is just on this lens here. So that should be like pure white. You know, it's cool to have this option to go between the color temperature levels, but I also wouldn't necessarily rely on it past about 3600. Then it starts to get a little bit not super accurate. There's probably some color mixing going on in there that I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't try and use this for a TV set. It does sound like the fan just kicked in, just barely hear it, so really not worried about it. Let's take a look at the zoom on this. That's one thing I'm pretty excited, so we'll just do some red. And we'll go to zoom, which is 0 to 255 on channel 14. Wow, that's a really tight beam. Just zoom way out. So the more further zoomed out you go, the more of a true wash it becomes as you go down into the beam. Hello. And I'm just gonna move this tilt upwards so that you can see this. It's almost like a hexagonal. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. Testing moving heads in your dining room is pretty tough, but you can really see like the lenses here, which is pretty typical on such a tight zoomed in light like this. So now let's do the zoom rotation. So you can do a manual rotation, which is cool. And then you have just the auto rotation, we'll say. Clockwise, you can do counterclockwise, let's see that. And then it's just, you know, slow to fast. Yep, so that's actually clockwise there. And then let's see if we can zoom in and out to make it bigger. Yeah, so when you zoom it in and out, it just changes kind of the center area. If you keep it zoomed all the way in, you're gonna have the most sharp Moonflower effect, typical Moonflower effect. And then we can do, I don't wanna change the speed of the effect. And then there's a motor reset and stuff like that. So I don't really feel like I need to go into those things. Now there is a chroma and saturation. So I would like to just go into those two. Let's see, I wanna do some white, some color temperature, so 12, and then let's see 8 chroma. 8 is chroma? So there's something I'm a little confused with in the manual. I'll have to put a picture of this on the screen. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work when it's in the CCT mode. 10, blue, do some white in there. Now one of the things about this type of light here is that the color mixing is heavily aided by this lens on the front. So any sort of light that has a lens like this, color mixing is going to be a lot better. I'm just adding some white in here, and you can see it just mixes very smoothly. And actually on the opposite wall here, I can see a pretty smooth dot going that I'll take a picture of to throw in the video here. And also for all of you that are curious, I'm using a ADJW MX1 or Wolf Mix W1 to do all my testing here. This is what I use for my main DMX controller. I do have a review for this on my channel, so you can go and check that out. I'll link it somewhere, but since I know you're all gonna ask. So I think that's about all that we can can look at on this actual light. We have demos of everything. Let's sit down and talk a little bit about this light. So my final thoughts on this light. I think this light is a great value for the money. It has a lot of cool features, perfect for the mobile DJ looking for an affordable moving head light fixture to add to their light show that can do a lot of different things. Some of my concerns, like the fan, did not pan out. The fan is totally quiet, barely audible at all, and it's a nice bonus that it comes with a little bit better quality than average wires that it comes with. The PowerCon cable, the DMX cable. So I'd say overall, especially for not really spending any more money than you would on a comparable light, you're getting a little bit more value if you purchase the Betopper 7x40 watt moving head wash light or kaleidoscope light, whatever you want to call it. I think you're getting a little bit more value than you would out of a comparable light. Now, if you want to order this light, if you want to check it out for yourself, I will leave a link in the description of the video, and I'll also try and stick a card up in the corner with a link to purchase this. And if you use that link, it will also help to support the channel. So if you do want to buy this light, please consider using that link to buy it, because it helps support the channel and, you know, me continuing to be able to make these videos for you guys. Now, as always, if you guys have any questions about this light, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if you want to check out any of my other videos, you know where to go to do that. For now, that's going to wrap this video up, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave me a like, a thumbs up on the video, and subscribe to the channel to see more videos from me. Once again, thanks for watching. That's it for now. Peace.